And Malachi finally goes, yeah, it's not. Yeah, I did. I made sure it was... God. Obviously...
We bowling.
Obviously not. But I did. It was straight.
Yeah. Totally sounds like my dad. He would have got along really well with my dad.
Weird. He just kept on going.
Because he'd shoot it. He would shoot it off the tee, and he had no idea where it was going because his eyes were bad.
Right.
But he'd claim his glasses were perfect, so he'd be like, "All right, well, I know it probably hooked off to the left. No, Dad, it went to the right. I don't shoot it to the right. Well, you need to tell the ball because it went over there."
Yeah, that really does sound like the exact same conversation I had with Gabriel.
No, I don't shoot it that way. Okay, sure.
Obviously.
And then,
No, I didn't. He was straight.
He was mad as it was, and then when he hit the tree, and the ball went off the tree and came back and landed almost directly at his feet, I was on the floor. Like, I was down on the ground. I was done. That was where I could not contain my laughter, because it was the funniest thing I had ever seen. And he didn't talk to me for the rest of the day.
That would be really funny.
He didn't talk to me for the rest of the day. I couldn't get over how funny that was. Because I was on the green. My first shot went straight onto the green. And for him, he hits... His first shot was like he just skidded along the ground. Second shot hits the tree. Comes right back to his feet. And I'm like, well, I'm still waiting, Dad. I'm on the green while I'm laughing. Son of a... Just going off and on, a lot of curse words coming out of my dad's mouth at that point. He wasn't speaking directly to me, just of me. And it was a quiet ride home. We stopped keeping score at the 9th hole. He decided to throw away the scorecard.
I was like, did you keep score in your head, though? Because I figured that sounds like a Shannon thing.
I was whooping him so bad. He was so mad at me. All right. So we're on to, we're in the midst of chapter, I want to say 2. We're in the midst of chapter 2 in book 2. And so we're going to get back into this. John Webster's still shaken. The survivors of Arcology 1237 are still being processed, and he's more certain than ever this is all a bad idea. Before the one man had blown himself up, he had tried to argue that keeping people here until they've been medically cleared to leave was the best move to make. But the powers that be wanted to get people off the ship as quickly as possible, and that led to some sloppy work. Thousands were already back on Earth and scattered all over. Any of the survivors who had left could be a ticking time bomb, especially those with money and influence. The ones who'd been allowed to leave first. It had been those people who the Altilians had targeted initially. They created chaos with the upper class being infected first and worked their way down. It had worked that way on Arcology 443, and it was starting to work that way on 1237 before John and his allies had become involved in the matter. It's really hard for John to process everything that has happened. A week ago, he was simply another man in the Special Operations Team. He was known as a rising star of sorts, but he wasn't anywhere near as well known as he is now, and he's helped people survive a massacre on his Arcology. He'd been here under the guise as a coffee vendor, as low-profile a job as he could find. That hadn't lasted long, though. He couldn't maintain his low profile once the violence had started. The force that he had formed following this crisis was one he had faith in. They might not be as experienced as others he could have picked, but he knows he can trust them with his life, and that is the key to him. They're young, anxious to make things right, and willing to fight when they're needed to. They were equal in his eyes, with him being the leader only because there had to be someone officially leading them. He has more experience dealing with bureaucracy than the others, and he felt it might be that might be constant for the first while as they work together to create a new entity. John takes his seat in the battle bridge of the Arcology and looks at the map on the wall. The Earth is shown as are the other neighboring Arcologies. Nothing looks different than it did before. The horrific battle with alien invaders. Everything is as it was before, if you simply go by this map anyway. The map reminds him of how simple things can be if you don't look beneath the surface. John just isn't someone who's happy with things being this simple. As he sits down, Division 1237 member Carissa enters the room. "John, what are you doing here?" John smiles at her. "I'm trying to depressurize. I mean, we just barely survived a battle with an alien race. I still don't know how we did it. Takes some getting used to. The whole not alone in the universe bit. It was foolish to think we were alone cosmically, but it's something quite different when you see the proof." Carissa puts her hand on John's shoulder. "It was your DNA which got us free. Mr. Webster, I always knew there was something special about you." She'd seen John in action during his time as a coffee vendor, and the speed with which he moved had told her there was something more to him than that. She was very glad he was on their side. It had also been a highlight of her stay here when he knocked Dan out cold. He hadn't been crazed like the others, just a complete jerk. Carissa had been selected to work as a police officer in Section C, the lowest economic tier of people inside the arcology. It had been set up as a cushy job provided by her friend since childhood, Ben Woods. Become a lot more than that, but she was pleasantly surprised with her ability to handle everything that had been thrown at her to this date. She now was ready to serve as a member of this new team, even though she wasn't sure what was going to happen now. They certainly were in no position to attack an Altilian fleet. John slowly stands and turns to her. When I was there, they were experimenting on us. I was honestly horrified. I hated feeling powerless, and then I somehow broke free, he says in reference to his free himself from the Altilian bonds. That wasn't supposed to happen, as no human had ever broken free of that before, and combined with the DNA issue, there was speculation he wasn't actually human. Such a claim was insanity to John, who saw himself as normal as anyone else he came into contact with in his day-to-day life. John, you're normal, Carissa says, seeing the fear that's in his eyes. It's good. It's just you spend your whole life feeling like you're different, and then there it is. I was always good at sports. I was always faster than other kids. I was just naturally strong. I was a fearless athlete and never backed down from a fight. My reflexes got me out of many a jam, but I felt it was just good luck. And my mother always said that God made me strong. I always scored high on IQ tests, and now this bomb gets dropped to me. I don't know what to think. He says, try not to become emotional and lose it. If you hadn't broke free, we might all have died, and that would include Mike. I hate to think of how that would have turned out. I know what you are, John. You're as human as I am, she says, giving him a smile. He sighs. My DNA would like to argue with you about that. Well, I'll tell your DNA to shut the hell up then, she says. John and Carissa walk out of the battle bridge, though, through the hidden door used to access it, and even through a meeting room, that leads into the main corridor. There are already workers here refitting the ship and making it capable of defending itself against a potential attack. It didn't take Earth long to decide they were going all out with the guns and the missiles. There's speculation that Altel could return quickly to finish what they started. John actually scowls. I don't think our missiles are going to do much against the aliens that attacked earlier. We have to use what we have. They won't expect us to be ready yet. If they're smart, they won't waste any time making a move here. They'll be back, and who knows what kind of tricks they'll have up their sleeves, she says with a heavy sigh. Well, they still have some of their time bombs waiting to go off. Hell, we still have some of them here going through the sham of a screening process. It is too late for this. What are they going to do when those people on the planet already start going off and killing people, he asks. Carissa stops. See, that's the crap that's been on my mind since they started sending people down to the planet. I was exposed and didn't show any aggression. What if I'm a time bomb? What if no one's immune? Just somehow some are slow to go crazy and those fish monsters weren't patient enough to let that happen on 443. You can't think like that. You're just doing the same thing with a whole lot of not human talk. John pauses to think that over and nods. Okay, so I stop with that talk and you stop with this talk, okay? Deal, she says. Next scene. Cale Rightly looks around his destroyed office, still in shock at what happened to him. His base was attacked and then his troops actually turned against him, joining the invading force and enabling them to be victorious. Such blatant treason had to be punished, certainly. As he takes a seat in the office, Talia Laris walks through the doorway where his door once stood. It had been blown away, much like a lot of parts of his office. There were holes in the walls, and it was hardly in the shape to welcome the leader of their world. Talia shakes her head as she views the destruction firsthand. I heard about this, but I didn't know how bad it was. And where is everyone? Cale asks, throwing his arms in the air. Talia looks over her shoulder and seems confused by the question. There are men and women out there cleaning up. I brought in a cleanup crew as well. It should have a majority of the base patched together within 24 hours. Is someone missing? Cale sighs. He has little patience for civilians, especially civilian politicians. Mike Translow didn't hand me back my position as leader. He just left. He took men with him, good men. I have no idea where they went, as we found nothing to track on our radar. Then he's on Falteri somewhere. Perhaps he's in the mountains. The mountain folk are known for harboring fugitives, she says with a roll of her eyes. No, I think he's off-world and gone completely. I'd heard rumblings of a secret project on Temp. If it's true, he's gone and perhaps gone a long way from here. There was an incident with the destruction of Bryn that I woke you about. Maybe I can find some inside information on this, but I believe anyone who truly knows what's going on is with him. Altel can't know that he's gone, he says, pointing a finger at Talia, and being as authoritative as he dared to be towards someone who was technically his superior. I agree with you there, General. We have to appear united in this quest for peace between our world and Ultil. We can't have this maverick going out on his own and declaring wars we have no business fighting. I'll send people into the mountains. We'll find Mike, she offers. Kale scratches his forehead and sighs slightly before he answers. I wouldn't send people out there and make this situation worse. This planet's been united for a long time now, and opening old wounds in the hunt for one man and a few who are following him seems like a bad idea to me. It's your call, of course. I just think he's likely off-world, and we need to look in that direction. You want me to authorize a trip back to Earth, she asks. That's the place I think he's most likely to go. From what I've gathered, he took his wife with him. Where else would he go? He isn't going to Temp, since it'd be too easy for us to find him and almost impossible for him to hide. Even if he did hide in the mountains on this world, they aren't likely to support his ideas any more than either of us would. Old feud or not, I don't see them harboring him. Kale's military instincts usually serve him well. He just has a blind spot when it comes to the Altilians, both because he wants to keep the peace and because they scare the hell out of him. Talia slowly sits down in the chair across from Kale, uncertain of the strength of the chair as it creaks and strains despite her slight build. As world leader, she can't be seen falling through a broken chair to the floor. If the press got a hold of a story like that at this moment in time, it could be a PR disaster. She's thankful that it only creaks and doesn't break. I don't know that sending anyone near Earth right now is a good call. I need to talk to Gora and present complete transparency in terms of our actions, and if we're seen allying with Earth even indirectly, we just look bad. They've not backed off on the declaration of war, and despite being badly armed and overmatched, they're carrying this forward. It's almost more brave than it is foolish. Kale smirks. They're idiots. They'll get slaughtered, and for what? Pride? This was an isolated incident by a cell which broke off from the main military. He killed the generals who were responsible when this came to light. There was no hesitation from him to do that which he felt had to be done. Mike Translow's paranoia is even more baffling in light of these events. Talia pauses. Well, we can't assume they were totally innocent here. What are you saying? He asks. Nothing, she says, and abruptly gets up, pulling her hair back behind her ears and trying to maintain her composure. Keep me updated on the search for Mike Translow. I'll see what I can find out. We'll see about finding you troops from other bases to replace those that are missing. Whether we're at peace or not, we have to appear strong in the eyes of the Altilians. They respect strength and despise weakness. I agree. Always glad to have you stop by. You're welcome here anytime, he says, even though this is a moot point since she's legally allowed to enter the base anytime she so chooses, as part of the job of running the planet. Kale may see himself as the ruler, but in reality is quite different than he'd prefer for things to be. Talia exits the office with her head down. She doesn't want to see the destruction again. Brings her down too much and makes her wonder if there's been so much damage already done to erode Kale's position as military leader. She wants to give some thought to what Kale was saying about Temp and its former moon, Bryn, but she can't be seen sending people off on wild goose chases here. She has to be rational, calm, and use her resources wisely. The air outside is crisp and cool as the twin suns slowly rise from the horizon, marking the start of another day, though she's still awake from the last one. This has been a whirlwind to her, and time has started to lose all meaning, though her body is starting to ache for sleep. The cold air seems to make that effect even more acute. Dradgen seems to appear for nowhere as he starts to walk beside her. He must have been waiting for her. Morning, Talia, he says with a smile. Talia is always a little startled when she sees Dradgen. His blue skin, wide eyes, and his quick stride all add up to make her very nervous. She wasn't racist, or necessarily paranoid of the unknown, but the closer Dradgen got, the more uncomfortable she was. She does jump slightly, but he doesn't seem to perceive her reaction. She manages to smile before formulating a response. I am glad to see you. It would appear we have something to talk about here. We do? He asks. If he was approaching her with an agenda, he isn't giving it away here. Mike Translow went missing after Kale Rightly was put in charge of our forces again. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you? She asks. Dradgen stops walking and cradles his chin in his hand. His soft blue skin actually has small changes in its depth of its shading for different situations. In this case, deep in thought, the skin turns a deeper blue. Again, this can be alarming to someone not familiar with Altarian biology. I haven't seen Mike since Kale got his position back. I know he was upset. I mean, who can blame him? Well, I know you wouldn't since you led the treasonous attack against the base here. He blinks at her. I was only doing that which I felt I had to. I'm no warrior, Miss Laris. She sighs and walks to her waiting shuttle with Dradgen in tow. I guess we can discuss this at the Capitol building. Dradgen shakes his head as he follows her into the shuttle. He hadn't planned to talk about this anywhere else. He wanted to stay close to the base. There was still work to be done here, but now it has to wait. That is one happy cat.
She's purring
It's
really
a very
loud.
happy kitty. All right, I'll read the last scene here in chapter 2 as well. Mike looks out the window of his shuttle and sees Arcology 1237 getting bigger with each passing moment. He can see crews working on repairing parts of the ship as well as adding weaponry to the once civilian-populated Arcology. It's rapidly changing, and yet to him, he had just left this place. It would be easy to believe he had hallucinated his entire trip to Falteres and everything that had happened here, if not for the presence of his wife at his side. He found he had a grip of her hand as the ship approached one of the docking stations alongside the Arcology. It's weird to be back already. It's good to see they're preparing for war here, though. Nice change from what we see back home, he says to her. She smiles at him. You made the right call, Mike. We have to be here now. The people need you since they've declared war on a planet which will eliminate them quickly without our help. You've brought something here that will catch the enemy off guard and give your new friends here a fighting chance. The shuttle completes its docking cycle, and Mike hears the click signaling that it's safe for them to exit the shuttle and enter the Arcology. He hopes the strange design and markings of their own shuttle, clearly not of Earthling design, doesn't attract unwanted attention from the press. He's already seen just how bad the press was during the entire fiasco about this very Arcology. They'd also been silenced about Arcology 443 and never had a story about 652 at all. So Mike had little faith in their abilities as he moves from into the next phase of what was essentially Plan B. Mike leads his wife from the shuttle and steps back into Arcology 1237 before saying, "It's so much more peaceful than I remember it. You'd think I'd been gone for months." All right, let's find someone to talk to here. Mike, a voice says from behind them. Mike turns and sees Nathan Helm there, now wearing a uniform Mike hadn't seen before. Nathan, good to see you're still here. What's with the new uniform, he asks, shaking hands with Nathan before Nathan shakes hands with Katie as well. We don't do that anymore. We just got to mark our new group and all. We're Division 1237 now. Really original title and all. Who's your friend? Nathan Helm, this is my wife, Katie Translow. She and I are here because we really don't have anywhere else to go. We'd hope we could stay for a while, Mike says, trying to remain upbeat while delivering news that ultimately isn't positive for him. But you went home and settled things down here, I guess, Nathan says. After you left, the government decided in their brilliance to just start letting people leave. They were screening for sick people, but they didn't seem to care about who might be sick and not actually showing it yet. Anyhow, in the lineup, some guy blew himself up and took a few people with him. Now we're in a state of flux with this crap. Some of the potentially infected are on the planet, while others are still here. There's a declaration of war against Altil, which has pretty much everyone scared to death. We're all up here, but we don't know what we're up against. No, you don't, Mike says, patting Nathan on the back. We can all talk that over, though. There are defenses you can employ against them if need be. My homeworld decided not to declare war and ignored that I had already declared it. They also ignored that I was rightfully named leader of our military after an uprising against the established powers that be. It's pure insanity, really. Why the hell would they react like that? Nathan asks, clearly stunned by what he was hearing. My world wants peace at all costs. If Earth gets wiped out, they consider that all right, as long as they're not targeted. I've tried to argue many times over that we are going to get targeted, but to no avail. Even the revelation Sabel provided about Falteres being on his hit list didn't make a difference. The Altilian leadership's denying any part of what happened on the Arcologies. I'm here now to help your world in this war you're likely not ready for, Mike says, patting him on the back as they make their way back towards the just-fixed elevator. I just shot this thing and you fixed it already? Nathan shrugs. Just needed to replace the door in the elevator car. It's easy when you have a construction crew like we have here. Just don't destroy another one for a while. There was some complaining about the cost of fixing it. Let's go talk to the others and introduce them to your lovely wife, too, he says with a smile in Katie's direction. And that's the end of chapter 2. So, Mike's back on the Arcology. But
What do you think about that, Bear?
He's brought a pretty massive ship with him. So, and again, the whole war thing doesn't really happen until the third part. But there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the second part as well, because they have to find out why Mike's different, or why John and his brothers are different. So there's that. All right, thank you guys so much for everything. I was talked into this by my lovely wife, that even though there's 3 videos that have gone up on this channel, she informed me we had to do this tonight. Yes. So She informs me of that every night, that we have to do this. Because then I do my treadmill and she doesn't see much of me after that.
I don't see much of you all day.
I know. Well, I'm doing a lot of work and trying not to be too stressed. Yeah. So, she's not happy with you bringing her over here. She was quite happy.
We were sitting. Why are we not sitting?
You were quite happy being there.
Sit part.
Right? I think Mommy wants me to take you. And I don't think you wanted to.
Why?
Yeah, she didn't want me to take her.
Take me, Mom.
You know, I used to be your favorite. You're aware of this, right?
Yeah, but I like her.
I used to be your favorite.
I get to sit on her.
That's true. I don't sit down.
Yes, I get to sit on her.
I don't sit down all day.
He doesn't. Not till like 11 o'clock at night.
No, that's when I go to bed.
I know.
So that's when I lay down. I technically am still not sitting.
Hi. Yes.
I genuinely don't sit down all day. I've had people ask me that question, like, you watch hockey games standing up? Yeah, I just stand all day.
He does.
If I sit down, I realize how tired I am sometimes. So it's better just to keep standing. Hey, kitty.
Why am I over here?
You're still not purring. She's not purring for me. She's not happy about this. See?
It's okay.
She's like, I want to come over. I want to go over to her.
I love you too.
See, look at this. Look at the amount of disrespect I'm getting. That she wants to go over and.
Am I your favorite?
Think long and hard, Bear. Think long and hard about who your favorite is. Okay.
And I love you too.
Yeah, and then I get a kiss.
I love you.
Yeah, and I get a kiss, and she cuddles in a little bit, but she's still, I don't know.
But I do love you.
Okay.
Yeah, she does the headbutts.
Yeah, okay.
Love you.
Am I okay? Why are you mad at me? I just gave you treats. I gave you treats. When was the last time she gave you treats?
I don't give treats. I feed her, though. Do I give you food every day? Yes?
Yep, she wants to be with you.
Okay, come here.
She doesn't want to be with me.
No, it's that time of day.
It really is like a baby.
It's the time of day that we snuggle, isn't it?
It really is like a baby.
We snuggle at night.
Yes, you really are like a baby, and you're fussy like one too, where babies will decide, I don't want to be with that person right now.
Hi.
You know, a baby will reach for you, or a baby will be like leaning back. You like that? Yeah. Hi. Hi, kitty. How you doing?
I love you.
Yeah, I know. She just likes the attention.
Our cats were spoiled or something.
They are. All right. So there you go. A little bit of cat time for people who like to watch the videos for the cats. And thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a ton. Stay safe. And just try to keep your sanity. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my darndest to keep my sanity as much as possible. But when I hear stuff like 18 months, I'm like, I can't do 18 months.
Won't be 18 months.
I can't be at home for 18. I can't. That's a year and a half of just sitting here. That
wouldn't work.
No.
That's not possible.
I can't. So,
not possible.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for all your support. We'll get through this. We'll figure it out. Somewhere in the middle. And again, this is it's just there's got to be a middle ground somewhere, right? There just has to be. I'm insane for thinking there's a middle ground. I know I'm insane for thinking there's a middle ground. I'm aware. Thank you guys so much for everything, though. I will talk to you again very soon. Do hit like and subscribe if you're browsing right through. I don't know why you would start with this video, but you may be watching my videos and not have subscribed. I did that on my video today where I said on one of the hockey videos that that YouTube was telling me off because I wasn't winning over more subscribers, and I picked up 50 subs today. Oh. And I was like, see? The browsing people,
because we have people email that say I'm not actually subscribed.
Yeah. So then there were some comments with people subscribing. So go ahead and subscribe here, and it tells YouTube that my channel's popular and it drives it more traffic, and it just tells it to stop bugging me. So
I don't know what you're looking at.
Do you want down? Is that what you're telling us?
You can tell she doesn't because of how she does her back
legs.
Thank you guys for watching. I will talk to you again soon.